What's your first and last name? I am Magometova, Zera Magometova. Born in 1932. I was born in the village of Cuisine. How were you informed of the deportation? Informed? At dawn, at 3:30 on May 18th, two soldiers went up the stairs to the second floor in our house. There was so much noise, dogs were barking. Brother opened the door. My brother was 17 years old, I was 11. How many children were there in your family? There were 2 children left. There were 2 children, one in the Urals, 2 of us. My brother and I, too. Dad was in Cuisine in the Labor Army. When was he taken to the Labor Army? They were taken 2 weeks before our eviction. When you were deported, did they read you some kind of document? Yes, yes. What did they read? It was read as follows: in the name of the law, on behalf of the Soviet government, you are being evicted from Crimea as traitors to the motherland. Where, why, until what time you were being evicted, did they tell you? What's the reason? No, no. They just said we were going far away. They told us to take food for 5 days. How much time were you given to get ready? -5 minutes. -5 minutes? -5 minutes were given. 5. And then they told us to leave the house. Did you have time to take something with you? We didn't really have time to take anything. 1 blanket and 2 kilograms of beans. Is that all you had time to take? Yes, that was all. There was no bread, there was nothing. There was nothing else. Yes. When you were evicted, were you or your family members subjected to violence? Were you tortured? Did they do something to you? No, they didn't. My brother couldn't wake me up. The soldier kicked me. I was at the door. Just this one. Brother said, "Sis, get up. We're being evicted from Crimea." Sis, get up. They're evicting us. One of the soldiers was very mean, and the other, older, he was kind. He said, "If you have wine, tobacco, take it, sell it on the way in the train, take bread." After people were evicted from their homes, what happened? Where were you gathered? I'll tell you what. We were gathered in front of the school, in the square. In Cuisine? In Cuisine. In Cuisine? Yeah, they surrounded us. They threatened us with machine guns. They installed 1 cannon near the hospital and 1 cannon in the cemetery. They probably thought we'd want to escape. You were gathered near the school in the square, and how long were you held there? A day before the cars arrived. The cars arrived. We were loaded into them and taken to the station in Simferopol. We were loaded into the teplushki where the animals were transported. They were crowded, we couldn't breathe. How were you taken from home to school? Did you walk? No. Did you walk? My brother and I and another neighbor were taken to school by 2 soldiers. How did you get from school to Simferopol? The cars arrived. Loaded in cars, 4 or 5. No, there were more than 4 and 5, much more, loaded 5 to 6 families until the car was full, and then took away. Was there a convoy near you? Yes, it was. Were you accompanied by a convoy? They closed these cars with iron, closed. So they took you away? Yeah, that's how they took away the traitors of the homeland. When you were brought to Simferopol, how long were you at the station? How long were you waiting there? We were there a day. We were there a day. We went to the Urals, and from the Urals, they took us to Central Asia. They made a mistake. How long was the road to exile? How long were you on the road? We got to the Urals in 18 days. We were on the road for almost a month. Because then we went to Central Asia. You were taken from the Urals to Central Asia? From the Urals? Did you go from the Urals to Uzbekistan? Yes, to Uzbekistan. They didn't accept us there. Buyers, or whatever they're called. Okay. And when you came to the Urals, were you waiting there? No, no. Instantly disconnected, and we went. Did people die in the wagons? Were there many dead in the wagons? A lot. First, they packed people in the wagons. What happened when you got here? Not many left in the wagons. Half of them was died. What did they do with the dead? Soldiers left the dead on the rails. And we were leaving. The dead remained there. No one knows where their grave is, what happened to them, where they were thrown, which pit. Do you remember how you arrived to Uzbekistan? How we got there? To Uzbekistan, we arrived at Osaka station. They took us all to the bathhouse right away. They took us there. Yes, we were disinfected. How did the locals treat you? How did the local authorities meet you? They looked at us very coldly at first. They didn't know us, thought we were traitors, they were afraid of us. We were put in such a terrible position, so the locals were really afraid of us. Then, when they found out who we were, they said we were a very good people. During that period, a grandmother died, they buried her, read prayers, and then the locals said, actually, we're not Muslims, they're real Muslims. You got to a place of exile, in Uzbekistan. How did you live the first months? How did you live there? How we lived? They gave us a room, it was like a toilet. Everyone who passed there once, apparently, relieved themselves there. How will we live here? How will we stay here? We asked. It's all right, you'll clean it up and live, they said. Mixing the earth with water, the old men whitewashed the walls. And we were told to go pick up some weed. After it dried up, they spread the grass, and we slept on it. There was no bed, there was nothing. In that place, in that house, how many families lived? 5. 5. That's how it was, even less. My brother and I had such an old blanket. Then what happened? Then in 1946, Dad became ill with pleurisy and returned to Osaka. My brother once sat down to dinner there. They gave us cards. He got a job. They gave us cards, 600 grams for brother, 250 grams for me. 850 grams of bread we got. There was a precinct chief, Reutemann. He came, sat down next to my brother, and said, "Enjoy your meal." "What are you eating?" "One small onion and bread, nothing else." "And do you have anyone?" "Why did you get such a hard job?" "You're still young." "Transfer to the bricklayer's station," he said. To which my brother replied, "We have a dynasty of builders, so I went to the builders." "And who's builder in your family?" "My father," answered the brother. "My dad worked as a station chief." To which Reutemann said, "Where's your dad?" "Dad is in Kuibyshev in the labor army." "I will help you. Daddy will come back," he said. Not a week later, Dad arrived in 1946. "Your dad's back." Dad got a job right away. His boss hired him. And since then, the three of us lived together, Dad, my brother, and I. "Your mother died in Crimea?" "My mother died in Simferopol." "When?" 1939. "When did you arrive in Crimea?" "When we arrived in 1991. "When?" "Where to?" "We came here to Kirovsky district." "Do you remember your childhood that you spent in Crimea?" "Of course, we went to the sea to swim." "What else did you do?" "Tell me about it." "We went to the sea, to the woods." "How can I tell you? There wasn't much to be happy about at the time. Those were hard years. People were in a difficult position." "What is Crimea to you?" "Homeland." I told my kids, let them do what they want, but even if I get shot, I'm not leaving the house. Bury me, kill me, but in Crimea.